Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, JC, and today I want to welcome you to my second part of my 115th video. And today we're going to be looking at the Easter eggs of each Black Ops 2 map, and we're going to be breaking down what made the Easter eggs awesome, what made them terrible in some cases, what made them very interesting, and also we're going to be breaking down the smaller Easter eggs on the map that aren't in direct correlation with the main Easter egg on each map. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So here we are at Transit again, guys. Now you guys already know my opinions on the map design of Transit, but now we're going to get into the Easter egg side of things. So what happened with this map? I remember when Black Ops 2 came out, there was so much hype behind Transit's Easter egg, and so many people wanted to get it finished first because we wanted to see the continuation from Moon. We wanted to see where the story was going from here. We wanted to see what happened when the missiles blew up Earth, and we wanted to see what was going on with Maxis and Richthofen. We wanted to find out so much more information about our story, and we really, truly got nothing from this map. We got one radio on the map, and we got a main Easter egg that doesn't even give you any idea of what is happening. You do all this work and these steps for a simple tower lighting up. Now the tower lighting up was cool, I guess, originally, but we got no story value from this at all. All we know is that we could pick a side, either Maxis or Richthofen, choose whoever we wanted to follow, and that would be the end of the Easter egg. We didn't have any conclusion. We had no idea why we lit up a tower. We had no idea what the nav card did. And still to this day, there's no real purpose of the nav cards besides linking up all the towers and all the maps. So the nav cards were a big letdown, and a lot of us still wanted to find out what the nav card was on the map, and a lot of us wanted to figure out if there's any way to put in the correct nav card in the machine underneath the tower. It just seems like all that was just wasted time when it didn't even matter in the long run. That's what Transit is. I mean, I'm sorry, I know there's some innovation with this map, and I will get into the more positive side of things in the gameplay portion of this review, but in terms of Easter egg and map design, Transit has nothing. There's nothing really good about any of this. The Easter egg was a huge letdown in terms of comparisons between this map and Moon. It was just a huge letdown. You literally spend hours and maybe even more if you die a bunch just to get a tower lit up. It's all you do on Transit. It's the whole purpose of this map. The whole purpose in the story was just so you could light up a tower and link it to other areas. They could have had Transit anywhere else in the entire globe and it still would have served the same purpose. That's why this map just doesn't mean that much to me in terms of story. Now they did try to add some side story with the characters that we were introduced to. This has to do with Samuel, of course. He was the most interesting character out of all of them, even though he wasn't my favorite character out of all of them. But we now know from Die Rise that they were trying to give Samuel some backstory in this map. They were setting up his backstory with the Flesh organization and how these survivors had to eat zombies to live, and it's all creepy and weird and stuff. But honestly, that's pretty cool, and I'm glad they put that in the map. But what really bugs me is that this is the only radio in the entire map. Yes, it has a couple of different transmissions in it, but that's all we got. One TV giving us transmissions and a main Easter egg. That's all it's in Transit. There's nothing else. There's nothing that really stands out as anything. There was the red lights that made the Morse code. There was maybe a couple of Easter eggs that the bus driver would say, but other than that, that's all this map has. It kind of goes back to the map design part, where I was talking about how this map just feels like it was rushed and it just feels empty. It's the same thing with the Easter eggs. It's like they didn't have enough time to put in a bunch of detail and a bunch of little tiny hints at stuff and little tiny Easter eggs in the map just because they were trying to rush so hard with this one. I don't know. This map just screams unfinished to me. It just screams too big for its own good. And in terms of Easter egg design and in terms of hunting the Easter eggs, it wasn't fun at all. And that's the problem with this map. It's just not fun or rewarding. Now we're moving on to Die Rise. Now you guys already know what I think about Die Rise in terms of map design, but in terms of Easter egg design, is it any better than Transit? Well, yes, slightly, and I'll explain to you why. So you see, Transit, to me, has two major problems with its Easter egg. It doesn't give us enough story information about zombies, and it's just too short, plain and simple. I think there's about 3 or 4 steps, and none of the steps really require you to solve anything. Like in Easter eggs before, you actually had to solve riddles, you had to look stuff up, you had to find codes and solve things. You had to actually figure it out. In Transit, it just seemed like they were telling you what to do, and there was only about 3 or 4 steps. Keep in mind the last step was hard with the Avogadro on Maxis' side, but still, it felt more tiresome and it just felt difficult more than hidden, if that makes sense. It felt more a part of the map than it should have been. Anyways, with Die Rise, things are slightly different. Half of the Easter egg, or let me just put it this way. Part of Die Rise is good. Part of the Easter egg in Die Rise is good, but the other part is bad. The way you progress through the Easter egg in Die Rise is a lot better than Transit. You have way more steps, way more things to do, you have more riddles to solve, just like we had in the Easter eggs of the past. But in the long run, you just light up a tower once again and you don't know why you're doing this. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Die Rise. It's just a filler for the next maps to come. That's really what it is in terms of Easter egg and map design, in my opinion. So Mob of the Dead was an amazing map in terms of map design, but does it live up to the hype in terms of Easter eggs? Well, yeah, it does. You see, what I love about Mob of the Dead is how it feels so isolated from our zombie storyline, yet at the same time, it feels so much more a part of our zombie storyline than Transit or Die Rise. That's what I don't understand. I don't know how the single player team did this. It's really crazy to think that they just outdid the Zombies team in every way with this map, but it really did happen. They made an awesome environment, they made an awesome map in terms of map design, and the Easter egg was awesome as well. Now what I love about this Easter egg is how unique it is. We don't really have many Easter eggs like this. It ended in a different way, because usually Easter eggs, you finish the Easter egg, you get a reward, and you just keep playing. But with this Easter egg, when you finish it, the game actually ends. That's a first in Zombies, and that's what makes this Easter egg very unique, and also the fact that you had to kill one of your own players at the very end. That was pretty awesome as well. This Easter egg pretty much accomplished everything you needed in an Easter egg in the past. You had codes you had to find and riddles you had to solve. You had a special equipment or a special gun that you had to use that was only exclusive to that map. That's what I love about Easter eggs, is how Treyarch puts thought into the weapons, into the equipment of the map, and how you can use them in different ways to do different things with the Easter eggs. And Mob of the Dead did this good. And the whole map honestly felt like an Easter egg to me, with the whole escape from Alcatraz with the plane and get the fuel and do this. And basically everything about the whole story of this map was very intriguing. And if you think about it, the whole paradox thing with the electric chair and going back to Alcatraz, that basically foreshadowed our whole zombie storyline from the beginning. It's really crazy how they did that, but all in all, Mob of the Dead was an awesome map. It had an awesome Easter egg. It had awesome map design. It had an awesome environment. And on the side note, you had other little side Easter eggs you could do, just like you could back in World at War. World at War didn't have a main Easter egg on a map, but they had a bunch of little tiny Easter eggs. Mob of the Dead brought this back in. They had comic book pages you had to find of Icarus. I think it was Icarus, I think that's what it was called. You had the Hell's Redeemer, which was from upgrading the Hell's Retriever. And the Hell's Retriever on its own felt like an Easter egg slash challenge that you didn't have to do if you didn't want to. I love stuff like this. I loved how you had to get the golden spork. You didn't have to, but I loved how you had to get it if you want to have one-hit kill knives on round 34. Also, I forgot to mention how Afterlife is basically a huge Easter egg in the map. Even though it's part of the gameplay aspect of the map, Afterlife felt like a giant Easter egg. The whole map felt like an Easter egg. All these secret pathways and all these secret passages that you could go through in Afterlife, it really helped give that sense of zombies again in this map. And that's what I loved about Mob of the Dead. It brought that zombie feeling back. I know I've said that a bunch about Mob of the Dead, but it's just true. Everything in this map was done right. And the Easter egg wasn't too hard to do. You could do it with 2 people, I believe, if one of you is Weasel. And it was just very fun to do. Like, I would do it sometimes just to end the game because I didn't want to play the map for like 20 hours straight monotonously. But anyways, we are now done with Mob of the Dead, and we're going to be moving on to the conclusion of our tower race, tower battle. I don't even know what to call it. You guys know the drill. We're going to be moving on to Buried. Alright, now we're on to Buried. Now, a bunch of you guys probably think I'm going to rant about Buried because that's what I did with Die Rise and Transit, but even though Buried has you lighting up a tower, it gives you a conclusion. That's what it does. It gives you a conclusion to why you've been doing this. So that's why Buried, I think, is one of the better Easter egg maps in Black Ops 2. It gives you a conclusion to what you were doing on Transit and Die Rise. It's like, oh, so that's what we were doing this whole time. We were just helping one of the bad guys win over each other, which we knew it was going to consist of something like that, but just the fact that it actually resolved, it just makes the map mean something to our zombie storyline. Transit and Die Rise, they don't mean anything really in terms of location besides the towers. That's all they did, was just light up towers, right? And in Buried, the end game took place in Buried. You did light up the tower, and I don't know, just this map was kind of like an ending to our tower scavenger hunt, basically. And so, in terms of being a good Easter egg, it wasn't the best, but I really like the storyline involved with the Easter egg. But in terms of like how fun the Easter egg was to do, it just wasn't that, I don't know, it was really complicated and really hard to do, especially with the target thing at the end, which everyone knows if you've tried to do the Easter egg, which everyone knows that's a pain. That was a huge pain and wasn't any fun at all. Easter egg hunts are usually fun, and what I love about Easter eggs is usually they have something to do with what you're doing. Like in Moon, you're like charging up the golden rod and stuff for him to get into the pyramid, for Richtofen to get into the pyramid and switch souls with Samantha. That was really cool, and you felt like you were actually doing something that mattered. But in Buried, it feels like you're just doing a bunch of random crap for the Easter egg. I know it sounds weird, but it really seems that way. Same with Die Rise and Transit. Like, I don't know how lighting up a bunch of pictures on the ground of zombies and stuff really helps towards lighting up the tower, but oh well. But in Buried, most of it, I guess, seemed logical. I just don't know why. For example, what's the point of shooting the targets at the end? What does that have to do with anything at all? Like, I understand it's to do the Easter egg, and it has to do with doing the Easter egg, but what does that accomplish in our storyline? Do you really think that that would be something to turn on a tower in real life? Would it be to shoot a bunch of firing range targets? That literally makes no sense, and that's the only problem I have with Buried's Easter egg. It just seems like they wanted to make it a lot tougher than the other ones because Transit and Die Rise were just so easy in terms of Easter egg design. And in the journey of making them tougher on Buried, they just made it so complicated with random stuff that, I don't know, it's hard to explain. The Easter egg in terms of story now is awesome. You figure out what happens to either side that you chose. You get to figure out what happens when you go with Richtof, and you get to figure out what happens when you go with Maxis, and you get a real resolution to what you've been doing on Transit, Die Rise, and in Buried. Now, is this necessarily a good thing that there's two endings? Personally, I don't think that there should be a choice in the zombie storyline because I want the story to keep on continuing, and it's hard for the storyline to continue when you have two different paths going off into different directions, but it was very cool. I really liked how both endings were pretty epic, and they felt like zombies again. You got this sense of mystery when Maxis just completely betrays you, and he puts Richtof in the zombie bodies. That was pretty hilarious, by the way, too. I love how they have that mix of comedy and seriousness in zombies. I don't know how they do it, but it just works. On the same instance, when you're on Richtofen's side of things, you literally kill Maxis, which is insane, and that's a big step in our zombie storyline that happened. Now, in terms of what this map actually did in our zombie storyline, it really didn't matter in the long run because Origins just throws it all over the place and just throws our whole zombie storyline out of the water, which really sucks. So without further ado, let's talk about Origins. Origins, the map where our zombie storyline ended, for now. Now, this is going to be sounding a bit weird for a lot of you because a lot of people hate the ending to our storyline, and a lot of people are still confused about the storyline, and there are some people who think that it was a good ending. I'm still kind of in between, but personally, I think that this was a pretty good option for them. Now, I know Treyarch basically gave us all the middle finger when you think about it. When they basically told us, for those of you who do not know, they basically told us that our whole storyline was just a game that Samantha and her friend Eddie were playing with action figures. That's right. All of our hard work into the storyline, all of our theories, all of that is just thrown completely out the window. It doesn't matter at all anymore. Derice, all of that, it just doesn't matter anymore. None of that matters. And that's what sucks about this ending. But on the other side of things, this ending brings us a new story or a new direction that zombies could be taking. What do I mean by this? So in our final cutscene on Origins, we see that Samantha and Eddie are just getting done playing with the action figures. They basically just finished Origins in terms of playing the game, I guess. And Maxis calls them down to the basement, and you hear sirens outside and alarms. And what does this mean? For one thing, this means that Zombies is returning once again next year. And this also means that Treyarch could be trying to do something completely different with zombies. Think about it. Our zombie storyline right now, and I love our zombie storyline, don't get me wrong, but there is just so many references to things that it's getting a little bit too convoluted and too complex for its own good. I mean, you got references to Argatha, to Aether, to the Vril race, to all these characters and different side stories of characters on these maps, and honestly, Treyarch probably has no idea where they could even take the storyline from here. But they decided to just say our whole storyline was just a game, and that's why a bunch of this stuff in the maps doesn't make sense, and there's so many different references to things. Which makes sense. I mean, it works, but it's a big, like I said, it basically screws over everyone who's been theorizing about the storyline for years. And it just, I don't know, it pains me to think about, especially when I think about the days of World at War where we were trying to figure out this storyline and everything. And little did we know that the storyline didn't even matter 4 years later. And that's really crazy to think about. But where am I going with this? So as I was saying before, something's happening in the present day, not inside our zombie game, I guess I should call it, but something is happening in the present day, and Maxis is there, he's a real character, and Samantha and Eddie, not Rick Toppin, Eddie, her friend Eddie, are, I guess, friends, and they have to go down to the basement because there's alarms going off in the distance, and Samantha says her dad has a plan. Now, what do I think about this? What do I believe is going to happen in our real zombie storyline? That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call this our real zombie storyline. I'm going to guess that the next game revolves around a real zombie apocalypse in the real world, not as a game, and has nothing to do with our storyline that we knew, but it involves a real zombie apocalypse, and Maxis is a character in real life, but not like, I don't know if he'll be like a character in the game, probably not, but you know what I'm saying. I think we're gonna see characters that we knew in this fake zombies that we were playing in the whole time, and in doing so, we're going to have this new zombies game that's gonna feel really different than what we had before, and that's what I'm hoping for. Something completely new, but I still want it to be zombies, if you know what I'm saying. I think it makes sense that maybe Samantha was playing with these characters that we knew, Dempsey and all of them, and was playing this fake zombie storyline. Maybe she had hope that one day they would have heroes like that too. Maybe they're living in a zombie apocalypse. We don't really know at this point. We don't know. She says, or Eddie says, that he wishes the story, or he wishes the characters in their story were real. And she goes, I know, but my dad has a plan. I think that's what she said. But anyways, I just think it makes sense. I think that's what Treyarch is trying to do. They're trying to start something new by ending what we had before. And that's why I personally, at this moment, because some days I don't really know if it was a good idea or not, but personally at this moment, I think it was a pretty good ending to our zombie storyline. They concluded it. I know it was a very bad conclusion, but in terms of keeping us on the edge of our seats onto what's to come, there's nothing they could have done differently. I mean, there's so many things they could do now, and there's so many theories that people can make now about what's really happening in the real world and what's going to happen next year when Zombies returns and we have Samantha in real life and Maxis in real life, and where our actual zombie storyline is going to go from there, and how zombies are even in the real world to begin with. I don't know, that all intrigues me. It's like the ending of our storyline, but it's the start of something new and something very interesting at the same time. Now, in terms of getting the Easter egg done and accomplishing it, was it fun? Yeah, personally, I thought this Easter egg was a lot of fun. I loved how you had to solve a riddle for every single staff. I thought that was very awesome. I loved how I had to literally figure out how a piano system works, because I have no idea, and we had to get our parents and our dads to come in here and help us out. And I just love it when games do stuff like this. And people say you don't learn anything from playing video games. Well, they're wrong, alright? I can go play Assassin's Creed 2, it's kind of off topic, but I can go play Assassin's Creed 2, come into history class the next day when we're learning about the Renaissance, And people are like, how do you know all this about the Renaissance? I'm like, I don't know. How do I know this? But same with zombies. Zombies, I've learned a lot about Morse code and a lot of different codes and things people have used in real life. And I don't know, I just like stuff like that. I like stuff that actually teaches you things about life. And I don't know, I just like those things that Treyarch puts into their maps. Now the other steps of the Easter egg involve shooting things with the staff, using the equipment that's only exclusive to this map, and you know, the usual same old deal with every Easter egg in Zombies, how you have to use the weapons and equipment that are exclusive to the map to progress through the Easter egg. And I like how they actually use the giants and everything, and you had to look at their names of the giants to figure out which staff you had to put in each giant. I thought that was very cool, and you know, that's another little teaching thing right there. But in terms of difficulty, this Easter egg was pretty tough. It was pretty tough. It took me a long time to do this one. We just kept failing, especially when you have, I'm not trying to hate on my friends here, but especially when you have people dying at the very end every single time that you're trying to do an Easter egg. That's probably the most annoying thing, is when you get to the very end, you have like 0 deaths, and then everyone around you just dies, and it's all up to you to survive, and you just fail somehow, and you have to restart, and it's like hours of work. But the Easter egg overall wasn't, it wasn't too hard to do, but it surely was difficult. It was one of the most difficult Easter eggs that I think we've had, and it was just a lot of fun. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I love how this map had a bunch of different side stuff that you had to do, just like, or you didn't have to do, just like Mob of the Dead. You had the airstrike grenade, you had the Thunder Fists, and upgrading the Thunder Fists. Just getting inside of the giants was an Easter egg of itself. That was pretty amazing when we figured that out for the first time. When we just saw someone get squished by a giant, and then 2 seconds later they're falling out of the sky, and we're like, wait, what? But anyways, in all, Black Ops 2 had its fair share of good Easter eggs. I would say the top 2 in terms of story related to Easter eggs is Origins and Buried, the last 2. I think Origins is probably the best, and Buried is a close second because of how much Buried concluded with both sides of our little war with Richtofen and Maxis. But in terms of just how much fun the Easter eggs were, I think Mob of the Dead was a pretty fun one, and I believe Origins was a pretty fun one. Buried was not fun at all to do. That was a real pain to do, the firing range bit. That was really stupid. I don't know why they did that. But basically, once again, Transit and Die Rise were just crap in terms of Easter egg design. And, well, Die Rise wasn't that bad. We'll pass on Die Rise. But every other map was pretty good. And like I said before, it's almost like half of this game, they tried really hard and made great maps. And then the beginning half of the game, I don't even know what they did. But yeah, that about wraps things up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of each Easter egg or / Easter eggs on each map. And yeah, tell me in the comments below, what was your favorite Easter egg of Black Ops 2? Maybe it wasn't even a main Easter egg. Maybe it was a side Easter egg. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. You guys know I love reading those things, and I always respond to them usually, unless I'm like not awake or something. But yeah, other than that, stay tuned for more zombie content coming soon. Zommunity is going under reconstruction, I believe, right now, so I hope this video goes up on Zommunity when it is reconstructed and everything. And yeah, keep slaying the zombies, my friends. Even though it's next generation, I know this video was up a little bit later than the last one, but I needed to finish this video because, well, I love zombies, I love the Easter eggs of zombies, and I love our zombie storyline. And I cannot wait to see where our storyline goes from here next year. And trust me, Zombies is coming back next year. I can almost give you my word, guaranteed. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This has been JC, and I will see you guys on the next video.